Three possible theories. One is, oh well, we had more important things to do, we didn't have the resources to take it any further, which creates in my mind the old adage, a stitch in time saves nine, bearing in mind where we are now. Second excuse, well, it's very important that we have positive media coverage because we need the trust and confidence of the public if we are going to police effectively. Therefore, we mustn't upset them, so let's narrow this down as much as we can and move on. Third, possible, all these are possible, we've got no evidence to suggest it, but maybe in the same way that politicians on the parliamentary committee refused to recall Rebecca Brooks to give evidence because they were threatened that aspects of their private life will be made public, maybe some police officers, they had something on police officers and they refused to take it any further because they had the same threat.
And it's that final point that, of course, will be most worrying as far as the public is concerned, is that relationship between the police and the journalists. And I suppose Rebecca Brooks did rather reveal something when she said they had paid police officers, which is in fact illegal, although at the time it didn't seem to prick up enough ears. I mean, what can you remember about the relationship between senior Met police officers and journalists?
Well, when Ian Blair, for example, became commissioner, he went on, I'm sure Anne might have been invited, in fact, to one of the dinners that he put on. He went on a charm offensive. He invited people...
I don't think I was ever charmed by such a dinner.
No.
I think I can confidently, without consulting my lawyers here, but I know the sort of thing you're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, he invited newspaper editors to a series of dinners. Now, as Anne has said, one freelance told me that actually he should stop doing those dinners because people were coming away with a worse impression of him after the dinner than they had beforehand, but that's another issue.
But if you knew these things were happening, I mean, you were a senior officer, why weren't you saying anything? Why weren't things done?
Well, as far as police officers being paid for information is concerned, the thing is as tightly controlled by the media as it is police informers. It's very difficult indeed to establish who's being paid, how much they're being paid, unless...
It was going on.
Unless, well... Lots of information was going into the press, some of which was obvious it was coming from the police. But without the active cooperation, as we now have, of News International, offering up the names of people who are being paid. I mean, journalists have gone to court and been threatened with being jailed and refused to say who their informants are. And that would apply whether that informant is a police officer or anybody else. Unless the newspapers are prepared to offer up the police informers, they are going to get away with it.
But you seem to be putting the onus back onto the press and not actually looking inside the police themselves. I mean, did you think the police dealt with those hacking allegations initially properly? OK, two separate issues here. As far as money being paid for information is concerned, very difficult to do anything about it unless you have the active cooperation of the press. Second issue around the phone hacking. The phone hacking was not. I mean, if John is part of the group action asking for a judicial review, we've won the right to that judicial review because we think that the police did not fulfil their legal obligation to investigate the thing properly first time round. That's what we're asking the courts to do.